I like click subscribe, do all that. You already know what time it is. It's Netflix time. Vincenzo, episode 3. We getting right into it. Spoiler alert. Let's get it. So when we last left off was at the party. These niggas still standing at the gate like, hey boss, what you trying to do? Yo, we still trying to run this shit over. But they can't do that because the Italian ambassador for Korea is in attendance. Anyway, Chai's having a conversation with Vin. Is like, hey, what's your real angle? And of course we know, but obviously he ain't gonna tell her. Once the boss has the ambassador there, he's like, y'all niggas just draw back. Meanwhile, we go back to the office and somehow Chai and Myung are gonna have to find some way to coexist. She bowed down for now, but she knows she ain't gonna put up with that shit for too much longer. Myung's like, yeah, alright, we'll see about that shit. Boss has no input. Sehan's still trying to spit that good game to Chai, but she like, man, we work together. You still my intern. Like, I ain't having none of that. Next day, all the guests reflect back on the party. They had fun. And because Vin helped out with the party, they felt like they could put more trust in him. And besides, some of the girls there trying to give him the business. Meanwhile, Vin's back in his office looking at some plans to try to delay the demolition of the GMU Plaza. Meanwhile, the lawyers are back at work and Chai and them are looking at Myung doing her daily aerobics like she did in episode 1 and 2. And they're just like, what the fuck is she doing? Then they get back to the task at hand. The problem is they see how bad the Baybell E&C company is. Unfortunately, they're working for them. And being an actual successful lawyer usually doesn't take morality. They actually did a background check on Vin to see if he was clean. Which on paper he is. But obviously we know he's far from being squeaky clean. So anyway, he's back in the restaurant fucking with the cook again. He's like, everybody liked my food at the party except for you, and you just be complaining like it tastes like shit. I'm starting to think you're just lying to me. See, they have one of those awkward relationships at this point. Don't really know how to describe it, but maybe you'll figure it out when you watch the show. Even though it says his pizza tastes like garbage, he still pays him for it. Like, he always pays for his meals. Then as he's leaving, he accidentally bumps into this guy, who happens to be the cop that's been tracking him since the first episode. Just that in this scene, they finally meet face to face. He says he recognized him from the party. Vin's trying to figure it out, but he doesn't really think nothing of it. He's still checking on him after he walks away. So he goes into the restaurant, butters up the cook, and tells him that he wants to work for him, but he doesn't have to pay him or anything like that. But we obviously know his angle. He's just trying to be closer to Vin so he can check on him and see what he's doing. Meanwhile, Vin and Lee Chan are coming up with strategies to keep the plaza open, because they know eventually them goofballs are going to try to come back and demolish the place. Later on, he finally convinces them to put mats down in the Buddhist temple room. Then he goes to a corner section of the building. So remember the boy that got caught smoking, his mom whipped his ass? Well, now that's him and all his friends, and they out there smoking. They want to act tough and he disciplined their candy asses. Like, toss them damn cigarettes out and stop smoking. And the cops are watching him from the shadows the whole time. He thinking to himself like, is he supposed to be some international criminal? Why is he being so nice and disciplining people? What's his game here? What's he up to? Later on, we see him digging up some information. You got some pictures of who? Who knows? Meanwhile, Chai and Sehan go to the pharmaceutical or whatever like that. Pharmacist or something. Chai gives some sob story about his brother or some fake shit. But she's really trying to get information about a certain Baba Tech worker. But he ain't having none of that shit. He like, get out far before call the police. Sehan's still trying to put the moves on her. He's like, man, why don't you come with me into America? You know what I'm saying? We got a spot. She's like, yeah, that sounds nice, but y'all firm can't afford me. And then she gets a call from this guy, not exactly sure what they're talking about. And then we go back to Lee Chan. So in the episode before we went to go see this guy, he tells Lee Chan the company's all messed up. The regular painkillers they have, they put narcotics in them. And that's what was killing the patients. But when he noticed the people above them didn't care about the lives, that's when he knew his life was in danger. He wants to testify, but he's scared they're going to go after his family. The only reason he even told Lee Chan is because he wants to trust him. He said, look, bottom line, when you can guarantee my family's safety, I'll guarantee you I'll testify. How's he going to guarantee that? I have no idea. He had a conversation with Lin, talk about everything I just explained. Then he drags Vin to the hospital. He gets her to see a very special patient, the lady that was on trial for killing her boss. Now why she's there instead of in jail? Because she stepped into her final stage of cancer. Now why was he so scared to see her? Was he scared because they could possibly be related or something? Later on at this bar, all the lawyers get together doing impersonations. Boss all the way for it, he don't give a fuck about nothing. Mihan out of nowhere asks Chai to do some impersonations. Chai's reluctant at first, but then she goes in and does one. So then she starts imitating Mihan and doing her dance aerobic classes and shit. She's laughing, but she got that laugh like, alright, bitch. Like, yeah, I got something for that ass. Later on, Vin takes a meeting with this guy again, who does wonders for the Baybell E&C company. He says, look, bottom line, you're gonna give us a 2-month more extension before you bulldoze the stuff down, or I'm going to send this shit out everywhere. The papers he was looking at is like tax evasion, fraud, all types of shit. And the pictures Vin was looking at earlier were pictures of him fucking with some secretaries. Got you with the blackmail, nigga. Vin like, yeah, bitch, that's what you get for trying to strong arm Cho, nigga. And as Mihan's leaving, her and Chai have a nice little chat. You got two stubborn people there. Somebody's gonna have to budge. But neither one of them's looking to do that. Then she gets a call from her father. I was like, what the fuck is going on now? So the boys are setting up for the demolition derby. Then my man makes the call. He says, fall the fuck back or we gonna be ruined. Don't touch that shit. And then he tells his boys to fall back. So Vin got on a 2-month extension. So Lee Chan explains to Chai about the information he got about the painkillers having narcotics in them. And her morality is standing in the way because she's like, well, what am I supposed to do? Not represent them? It's a cross between business. She thinks this operation is just like any other operation. But Lee Chan's like, no, this shit will kill people faster than any other drug. Then on top of that, Mafias will be coming for this shit. So as she's leaving the house, of course, Vin shows up. And we get some one-on-one time with Vin and Cha. Then Babel's E&C sponsor gets a call from the real boss, telling them to set up a meeting between Cha's firm. Back at the house, Lee Chan is talking to Vin. And he knows why Vin was so apprehensive to see her at the hospital. Turns out that lady is actually Vin's mom. Lee Chan said he saw it back then when he looked at him back when the trial was happening, but he really put the pieces of the puzzle together when he saw him at the prison, when he was going there recently to visit her. The question I don't understand is why did she abandon him? Then we get this scene in the guy in the basement, he's pulling out a bunch of gas wires, then sets up an explosive watch to go off in less than a minute. The people waking up and smelling the gas. By the time they get downstairs to check and see what's going on, it's too late. They blew that spot the fuck up. Next day, Lee Chan hears on the news about the incident. It was 14 EMC pharmaceutical doctors that were killed in that incident. So obviously he wants to go down there, but you know he's thinking about the witness. Cha and Sion hear about the news, but they go about business as planned. Cause what can they do? They still work for him. And at the same time, Boss and Mion are about to have a meeting with the Bob A, E, and C spokesperson. They go down and check the carnage, which obviously Lee Chan is devastated by. Then tries to get Lee Chan away from the scene because obviously he sees some niggas that probably has something to do with it. He's trying to protect Lee Chan and tell him to let it go, but his stubbornness won't allow him to do it. He's willing to die for the cause. He's like, you dying for the cause is not going to stop the problem. Basically, they're butting heads with their beliefs, but like it is, Vin is in the mafia. He knows what he's talking about. But obviously, he can't tell Lee Chan that shit. Mi Young and all them had their meeting. Surprisingly, it goes smoothly. But when Mi Young asked him certain questions, she obviously knew he wasn't in charge of the whole operation. Then Lee Chan gets a call from the witness saying he'll testify regardless. He's tired of people getting killed. Now I want you to ask yourself this question. You think he's really going to make it to the stand? Well, Lee Chan, what do you think? So Vin at this point is thinking to himself, why do I care so much? I need to get back to the task at hand. So he holds a meeting with the tenants. So he's willing to buy them a whole mall just so they can relocate. But obviously he wants them out so he can get the gold. And because of everything he's done so far, they trust him, but they're still skeptical about this decision. As they should be. They're thinking to themselves like, okay, what's the catch? Thinking to themselves like, yeah, why do you want this piece of shit so bad? But the monk reassures they can trust him, so they're like, you know what? Everybody trusts him. Cha and Mi-han back to face once again. They try to come to some type of understanding so they can coexist with each other. They're not exactly on the same page, but they're getting there. So Lee Chan's been extra happy today for some reason, even after all the chaos because his boy's going to testify. But here comes Cha to ruin the mood because it's going to fuck up her case. It's just amazing how her and her dad are on opposite sides of the opposition. Then it gets real and she says, how come you could save everybody else but you couldn't save mom burning out the goddamn fire? Yeah, Lee Chan just got serious real quick. So after all that, she stormed out. She goes for some snacks by the gas station and Vin just happens to pop up. He goes in and gets something to drink as it starts raining. He comes back out and says, look, I'm gonna be chilling with your dad. You can come by if you want to. Meanwhile, Mi-han makes a phone call to who I don't know, but it sounds like a serious mission. Now it's Vin and Lee Chan having a conversation, talking about a sense of justice and pride and all that stuff. Cha sitting out in the rain all by herself, pissed off. Right before she's about to leave, the clerk gives her an umbrella. He said it came from the dude Vin. See, your boy thinking about you. But why didn't the clerk just give it to her when she was sitting there? Why he wait till she was getting up? Anyway, we go to our witness who gets a knock at the door. They're saying it's the police. But he knows better. He's trying to get the fuck up out of there. Some bullshit. He jumps out the window to escape and hides in a boat. He's trying to call Lee Chan, who's beyond drunk at this point. He goes outside to smoke a cigarette, and Vin notices he left his phone on the table. He sees the calls coming from RDU. He doesn't answer it, but now he knows Lee Chan's been hiding something from him about having another witness. While Lee Chan's out there, this random guy asks him for a cigarette. When he looks up at him, and they got the sinister music in the background. What's up with this guy? We get the slow motion walk away. Ain't nothing good coming from this shit. He's trying to call, nobody's answering the phone. And then, oh shit, they found him. Oh no! Yeah, man, he's done deal. Last thing we see is blood on the phone and somebody hanging that shit up. Yeah, your witness done deal out here in these streets. So after he checks his phone and sees who's calling, he tries hitting him back. All of a sudden, a big-ass truck comes straight through the goddamn restaurant, smashes both of them niggas. Yeah, big-ass truck, pinpoint accuracy. Vin's moving barely, but he looks over at Lee Chan. Holy shit, Lee Chan looks dead as shit. Look at all the blood in the back of his head, like, damn. So even though Cho barely survived in the first episode, I don't think Lee Chan survived this one. You can't just kill off Lee Chan like that. That's some bullshit. That's Cha's father. I'm mad. Slick DZ out the Heezy, you already know what it is, Mr. Big. Who the goddamn slogan?